off. One by the Magi. Luck takes it off the draw. Here's Philly, and put it up, hit the pipe. Came in front of the net shot. They scored! Luck puts it home, and the Magicians have it. Luck is taken away by Thongfen again. Up to Isaiah Thongfen into the offensive zone. Thongfen turns. He scores! Thongfen ends the hockey game for the Magi. It's Morelli from the corner, back up, top of the point. Aubrey scores! Top shelf! That was a howitzer! And Riley Aubrey put it into the top corner, right where Grandma keeps the cookies. His 22nd. It's ice time with yours truly, Nick Hulberg. We're live from the PSP Network offices just south of the Magic City here in the beautiful Minot, North Dakota. Looking out the window on a beautiful Friday morning. Feels like pheasant hunting, deer hunting time without a doubt. Beautiful morning, should be a beautiful day. Hoping for a beautiful matchup tonight with Minot State, the Beavers. Back on their home ice, taking on the Jimmies from Jamestown in an ACHA college hockey matchup here tonight. We'll preview that with Wade Regier, the head coach of the Beavers, in just a moment here on Ice Time with Nick Hulberg. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for the listen here today on the PSP Network. What is Ice Time? Well, let me tell you, it's the hockey show you've been waiting for, and that's the way we've been marketing it. This today, what you're going to hear is just the inside of the audio version of the show. Of course, we need some highlights. We need some interviews face-to-face and things like that. This is something that we rolled out this week. There's going to be a lot more bells and whistles coming to this program, but for now, this is what you get. And today, you get the podcast flavor of the show. As we'll talk to Wade Regier, we'll look into the matchup here tonight in the college hockey world, and this weekend, actually, between Minot State and Jamestown. We're going to take a dip into the high school hockey realm and take a look there. And also, we've got some big news that we'll start with here today on the Ice Time program with yours truly, Nick Hulberg. We've made an announcement last night on Facebook and Twitter. You may have seen it, may not. We've got somebody that's going to help us out on the broadcast for college hockey. By the way, it's fantastic to have the opportunity to be back in the booth to call Minot State hockey games. I've been calling Beavers games for years now, probably. I would have to say it's 2020. This is the 2021 season. It's been 10 years. This is year number 10 or number 11, 12. It's been a while that I've had the opportunity to call Beavers games, and a big thank you to Wade Regier and that whole program for the opportunity to let me even come in and do what I love to do so much, and that's be at the hockey rink. And if I have a microphone in my hand, great. If not, that's okay too, but you get a little itchy if I'm sitting around without the opportunity to either be the PA voice, number one, or do the play-by-play, number two. And now I jump back into the play-by-play role here tonight and this year for Minot State hockey after a young man by the name of Blake Friars at Minot State hopped into that position. He was given the opportunity. What we did was I recognized that Blake was pretty damn good at play-by-play. I thought he was fantastic. A little lazy when it came to preparing his game notes, but other than that, he did a great job. People liked him. He's fun to listen to. So Blake did the play-by-play, and I hopped over and I did the PA work for the Beavers. Well, now there's a young man by the name of Tyler L. who owns TJE Entertainment, one of the top wedding DJs and party DJs in the Magic City. So TJE and Tyler L. is going to be on the PA, and Tyler's going to do a great job. Blake Friars has moved on to junior hockey now up in Canada with the Verdun Ice Caps. And that means that somebody's got to do play-by-play for Beavers hockey. And guess who that is? That's me, back in the saddle. And I'm excited to be back there. This will be my return to Beavers hockey play-by-play after what would it be, 2 or 3 years now of doing PA work for the Beavers inside the Mesa Arena and the Pepsi rink. Couldn't be more excited to be back. I don't mind doing play-by-play by myself and calling games by myself. That's always fun. But when you have the opportunity to bring somebody in that's got some insight, as a color commentator, and somebody that's been there, and somebody that understands the game, it just makes it that much better, and somebody that's got a name to bring with that people recognize and understand and respect automatically. And we had the opportunity to bring somebody in that's going to help us out for select games here in the 2021 season, and that man goes by the name of Holden Kurtz. And if you remember Kurtz is a player that was a goaltender for the Beavers for the last 4 years. He graduated last year from United State University. He's now at Northwest Mutual, doing a great job. I'd highly recommend talking to Kurtz there if you want to do some financial planning or life insurance planning for the future. Kurtz is a Devils Lake, North Dakota product, and this is a guy that I had the opportunity to call some of his high school games back in the day when he played for the Devils Lake Firebirds, and we had those games on the radio in the Magic City. And Kurtz, if you remember, if you're from Minot, Kurtz was the goaltender that played for Devils Lake the year that Minot High won the state championship in 2015. Minot High, Devils Lake, the overtime thriller in game number 1. Matt Flom broke in on Kurtz, and Flom tucked it through the 5-hole and beat Kurtz for the game winner to propel Minot High into the semifinals, if you remember that night. Fast forward the story from 2015 all the way to 2020, and Kurtz is one of the top goaltenders in all of the country. All of it. In the ACHA. He was fantastic. The numbers that he put up, splitting time with Josh Bykowski, those numbers, you just can't argue with them. A 1-1 goals against average, a .948 save percentage, and the real cherry on the top to that is he had 6 shutouts on the season. Kurtz was a real gamer and a real player, and now he's going to join us up in the broadcast booth, and he's going to be there to call the games with us. His insight to what he sees from now in the broadcast booth from being a goaltender before. Look, I was a goalie back in the day, but I was only a third-string JV goaltender. I can't wait to get Holden Kurtz's insight from the nets on up to the press box after being one of the top college hockey goaltenders in the ACHA for the last handful of years. Josh Bykowski right there with him. If you had to start that debate, who was better, Bykowski, Kurtz, or Bray Efforts, that all played for Minot State? And I think at one time, all 3 of those goaltenders had a minimum of, let's just call it 5 games played, and all of them had a save percentage of like 97%, a goals against of under 1.3, and all of them had a bucket full of shutouts at that time. This was somewhere along the lines of the career where they were all 3 there, and they were like 1, 2, and 4 inside of the ACHA for goaltending numbers. Minot State had all of them. That's one of my big questions moving forward, by the way, into the season this year for Minot State Hockey, and I talked to Wade Regier about that, is what is the goaltending situation like after having a handful of guys that do such a great job with that in the past? And Minot State traditionally has had great goaltenders, without a doubt. We're going to preview the matchup with Jamestown and Minot with Wade Regier when we come back to the show. Then we're going to take a dive into the North Dakota high school ranks. Practice has started. The season is kicked off. We're going to just do a quick preview of the WDA and who's going to be good in the state of North Dakota. I think this year, if any year, there might be some changes at the top of the list instead of the West region for North Dakota high school hockey. We'll jump our thoughts into that. What will we do? We'll start with more coffee, and then we'll jump into that, is what the hell I'm trying to say. Ice Time with Nick Hulberg. We'll come back with Wade Regier when we return.
This presentation on the PSP Network is brought to you by Planet Pizza, Premier Chiropractic, Clean Tech, Premier Movement, Tires Plus, 28 Tastes and Taps, Beaupre Law Firm, Homesteaders, Subway, First Western Bank and Trust, Arbo Photography, North Country Sportswear, 701 Realty, and Pro Style Production DJ Services.
Premier Movement of Minot is now open. It's time to focus on your better health. Premier Movement is taking all the necessary precautions and guidelines for social distancing and safety. On top of that, by design, our workout classes have always featured small groups for better focus, accountability, and better results. And speaking of accountability, we're locally owned and take pride in the services we provide in helping clients achieve their fitness goals. Try a free 2-week trial and see for yourself. Find us at premiermovementnd.com.
Nothing brings people together quite like a football game. As the summer months come to an end, at First Western Bank and Trust, we look forward to supporting our local football teams. Those Friday night lights, cheering on the players, and watching the game with friends and family, that's what fall is all about. As teamwork and perseverance drives each team to achieving their goals, we all wish players safety and the best of luck on the field this year. We'll be cheering you on. At First Western Bank and Trust, we aren't just here for you, we are you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Systems go for lunch when supper time's a crunch. T-minus now, it's time for Planet Pizza. With lots of space for fun, there's room for everyone. Don't be an alien to Planet Pizza. Space for Planet Pizza. Planet Pizza.
This is Kevin Vigestead from First International Bank and Trust, member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. We want to wish all student athletes good luck this season, and may the friendships you make and lessons you learn last a lifetime. At First International Bank and Trust, we're more than a bank. We're a family, a partner in the community where we live and work. We're proud of all that you are accomplishing and can't wait to see what your future holds. Good luck to all the teams. First International Bank and Trust, live first.
Now joined by the Mountain State University men's hockey coach and the head coach, Mr. Wade Regier. First of all, Wade, how are things? You ready for a big weekend set with Jamestown?
Absolutely. No, we're looking forward to it. We've been off for a couple weeks and certainly excited to be back on the ice.
This is a rivalry that is kind of brewed, not kind of brewed. This is a rivalry that brewed immediately, it seemed, with Minot State and Jamestown. And under the direction of Dean Stork, they've become very, very competitive in a quick hurry. Touch on this rivalry just a little bit and what it means having a team inside of North Dakota only about 3 hours away that has been such great competition for Minot State hockey.
Yeah, it's been we've been very fortunate to say the least. I mean, we were very excited. I was actually, heavily involved with meetings with the administration at Jamestown in works of trying to convince them to add hockey, and it worked out great. And they hired a recruiter and a guy that had been a long time in Dean Stork, and they've really been successful right out of the gate. And that is really what has made this rivalry really work. It's something that's exciting for not only fan bases because they know they're going to get a good game, but it also is big for both teams because we're going to play each other so many times that we want the games to be the count. We've seen rivalries where one team's kind of fallen off the map, and then now all of a sudden you're playing them 6 times and the games get blown out, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out in terms of that stuff. So we're very fortunate. It's exciting. We get competitive games on a regular basis, and even this year we're playing each other a little bit more than we normally would, but I think our guys are excited to play meaningful games against our rival, and obviously both games being wars and down to the final seconds of almost every time we play each other.
2 times already this year you guys have matched up. 4-2. The last game was a win for Minot State on their home ice on October 24th. The night before, you guys got a win there and a 1-1 overtime victory for Minot State. Touch on this matchup a little bit and what Jamestown brings to the table in a matchup. This is fair to say that they're a hard-hitting hockey team. Lunch pail and hard hats. I mean, that's their style. Is that what you expect again this weekend?
Absolutely, yeah, they are. They certainly are a blue-collar type of hard-working program that makes you play your best every night. They certainly finish every check. They play physical. They're also a team that's very well-structured, and that's something that we always kind of have to be aware of in terms of how they play their systems. They definitely rise up to the occasion. That's number one, and I think that goes down to what Dean has done as a coach there, and even before that, it was Cole Bell in the middle there. They really just rise up to play us, and that's something that we have to always match, and that's something that I think is the biggest challenge every time we play each other, is for us to match their energy, because they come out fired up, they're excited, they're finishing checks, and then all of a sudden we're finding ourselves in a 1-1 game tight, and that's something that we definitely as a team need to kind of overcome. We need to match energy, match the excitement, match the physicality, and I think if we get to that point early, then all of a sudden we kind of see ourselves open up opportunities for either being on the power play, second chances in terms of how we play. It certainly rolls down to matching energy. And the biggest thing for them is they've got excellent goaltending. That they've had the Troy Brouwer that's been there for, this is his 5th year, and he gives them a chance to win every night. And that's something that we need to definitely need to get to the trenches with him, get bodies in front. We got to have traffic. We got to get sticks on pucks. And those are critical things that are important when you play against any good goaltender. And I'm sure Nick, it's a lot easier to make saves when you have your eyes on the puck. But if you can get traffic in front, especially in power play type situations, you're going to be rewarded for it. So that's certainly going to be the game plan for us this weekend and every time that we play Jamestown. On the goaltending note, Wade, you've got a unique situation here this year with Minot State Hockey where for the last, you count them all the way back to the Wyatt Wasylenchuk days, you've had a dominating goaltender in the nets since 2013 and before with Wyatt at that time, all the way till last year where you had 2 of the top goaltenders in the country. And now this year you've got a fresh crop. Talk about your goaltending staff just a little bit, what that battle's been like to win the nets, and who do we see tomorrow night? Has that decision been made? Yeah, no, we've been very, very fortunate with our program that every year we've always been able to have solid goaltending either. And for us, too, it's the longevity and the consistency. It's gone through where we've had 4 years of a cohort of guys that have been able to really kind of carry the torch for our program. And those are things that have happened for our program for, even all 25 years. It's something, a staple with Minot State is we've always had good goaltending and we've always had depth in goal. And that's something that I've been very excited to be a part of, even in my 11 years through the Wyatt Wasylenchuks, to the Riley Hengens, all the way into, the last couple of years where we've had excellent goaltending battles, especially with Bykowski and Kurtz. And, those are things that we look forward to this upcoming year. It's a chance for us to renew what we're doing in terms of, 3 new goaltenders. All 3 guys bring a different dynamic, which is exciting, and how they prepare. It's something where we know we've got depth again. It's something we're very excited about, that we really, truly feel like we have anybody that we can put in the net, and it's going to give us a good chance to win on a nightly basis. For this weekend, it's looking like Chad Duran's going to get the start on Friday, and we're going to kind of take it day by day. But the Colorado kid has been really kind of earned himself a chance to play, and we feel confident in how he plays and how he conducts himself, and we look forward to having him go again on Friday. But that's a nice thing that we've just been very fortunate here, Nick, that in goal we've always had depth there, and it's something that I think we just really enjoy, and it really kind of breeds to why we've had so much success. Once you've got excellent goaltending, it kind of just spreads out, through the rest of your lineup and gives confidence with anybody that plays either defense or forward, that they know that if they make a mistake, that our goaltending is going to be there for us. 3-3-3, the record of Jamestown coming in. They've already played 9 games on the year. Most recently, they just put it to the University of Mary on November 11th by a score of 7-2. So a game in the middle of the week here this week. They're fresh. They're game ready. For Minot State, you guys have had quite the layoff due to the cancellation or the postponement of the last game with Williston State. Does that pose any problems in your mind heading into the weekend matchup, or is that a benefit for you? You know what? I think, with the way that things have kind of been with COVID and everything that we've all kind of battled with, and cancellations and changes and stuff like that, with it being a 2-week off, I certainly know it'll be an advantage for them. I think for us just to kind of get our game legs, it might take, 5-10 minutes into a period, or maybe take a couple periods to kind of get back on track. And that's something that we haven't really had to deal with our program for as long as I've been here, to have 2 consecutive weekends off, other than, of course, Christmas and that break that goes with it. So it will pose some challenges. I feel like for our guys, it's a matter of, just like riding a bike. Once you get into it, once you start going, you'll kind of feel the sense going back. But I do know that, things like timing and, those type of things will make a change. But that's something I think we're used to. That's why we're practicing and being able to kind of get back into it. And then there's also, games are definitely not a lot like, practices. Even though you might work hard in practice, it just doesn't really truly get you into game shape. And so there might be a little bit of that getting caught up, but that's something that we all have to deal with. I think everybody, that's playing hockey right now has to take everything day by day. And that's something that even our guys are. We're taking things day by day. We're fortunate that we're playing games this weekend and even into the fall semester. And that's what we're definitely doing as a program. That's for sure.
The final thing I have for you, the X factor to the weekend in Minot for starters, where Minot State, under your direction, has a near 900 or even better than 900. Let's call it at least an 800% winning percentage at home. You might have that number off the top of your head. You guys rarely lose on home ice, and one of the reasons is that the atmosphere at the Pepsi rink has been fantastic, one of the best of the ACHA. This weekend, the restrictions on fans are limited down to 50, if I'm not mistaken, on the weekend. What does that do for the way you prepare and that energy level right out of the gate in a matchup like Friday nights against Jamestown, who's going to be hungry for a win? How do you prepare, and what's the message in the room before the game, knowing those circumstances here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I do know that there was a stretch from, I think it was like 2015 to 2017 or 2018 where we never lost a game at home. I believe it was like 30 or 40 games or something along those lines,
wow,
which was pretty remarkable until Jamestown, I think, beat us in overtime, I think at home one time. But there's no secret that our home ice advantage plays huge into us. I mean, for our program, being able to average, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 fans on a regular night. And then of course, when we play a game like a Jamestown or UMary or, somebody who's a top 5, top 10 team, where that number gets pushed to 1,500 or close to 2,000 fans, it makes a world of difference, especially with momentum. And as anybody knows the game of hockey, I mean, you score in bunches and all of a sudden the game can get away from you. And that's something I think for our guys that we've had that luxury. But yeah, it is going to be it's a different atmosphere. Even when we played them, 2 weeks ago, we had a 250 person restriction, and yet the crowd was really into it, and you could kind of hear them a number of times, and so that was kind of exciting to be able to still, even with such a crowd number, it's going to be a different game with 50. And I think the biggest thing is when you get to those type of small numbers is that you almost try to feel like it's a road game or a neutral zone game or neutral site game, and that's kind of that mindset. But I think for our guys, to be honest with you, Nick, is they don't really think about those types of things. It's one of those things where you have to really get your own energy and how you play and how you prepare. And I think our guys are smart enough, especially our experienced ones, that, it's something that we have to get used to, especially hopefully just a short term, and thinking that this might be the fall semester here, might be the time where we get a few more restrictions. And then, we get to open up, hopefully as a society, we get through this pandemic. But we take it day by day, game by game. And hopefully we can, continue to use our own energy and still find ways to win, even with small crowds.
I'm Jack for this weekend. Can't wait. Best of luck. Thanks for your time today here on Ice Time.
Absolutely, Nick. And I think our importance of our broadcast becomes just that much more. And we're excited for you guys and you specifically doing a great job. And we look forward to hopefully another good group of people watching online.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time today. And again, we'll look forward to talking to you in the pregame tomorrow.
You bet. Take care.
As the summer months come to an end, at First Western Bank and Trust, we look forward to supporting our local football teams. Those Friday night lights, cheering on the players, and watching the game with friends and family, that's what fall is all about. As teamwork and perseverance drives each team to achieving their goals, we all wish players safety and the best of luck on the field this year. We'll be cheering you on. At First Western Bank and Trust, we aren't just here for you, we are you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Great to talk to the head coach of the Beavers, Wade Regier. Talk to that guy for hours about anything. He's just fantastic at what he does. Been named the Coach of the Year multiple times to the ACHA. 2 banners hang in the Mesa Arena as national champions for Minot State Hockey under his direction. Looking for another one here in 2020, 2021. And the journey continues tonight when the Beavers take on Jamestown at the Pepsi rink at Mesa Arena. We'll have the call for you on the PSP Network. Hope you join us tonight. Holden Kurtz and I will have the call on the PSP Network. Planet Pizza pregame show. Let me just double check this number for you. Believe that our pregame show tonight starts at 6:40. Let me just double down to make sure that's correct. It's either 6:40 or 7:10. Either way, I plan on being at the rink at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and that's always fun. Game time tonight, 6:40, Planet Pizza pregame show. There it is. So the face-off tonight at 7 o'clock. Join us at 6:40 on the PSP.network. It's going to be a battle of the goaltenders tonight, to my mind. I believe that Tyson Brouwer has been so good for Jamestown for so many years, and he's just an X factor each and every night. Lethbridge, Alberta, senior. He's been there. I think this is his 5th year maybe at Jamestown, 5th-year senior for the Jimmies, and he's a guy that if he's got the nod tonight, Minot State, has their work cut out for them because he is fantastic. Let's turn our direction now to Minot High hockey and the WDA inside of North Dakota High School hockey. And let's start with taking a look at what's going on around the Western Dakota Athletic Association, the conference, the WDA getting geared up and ready for high school hockey as we put a cap on our show here in just a few moments. The Magicians have started their training camp and the tryouts have begun, along with every other team in North Dakota getting geared up and ready for the high school hockey season. When you go back to last year, Minot High won the West Region regular season crown. Bismarck Century took second, High took third, Mandan fourth, Jamestown fifth, then Dickinson in sixth, Williston 7, Botno Rugby in 8, Hazen Beulah in 9. Here's how I'd like to end the show today. Let's talk about the next few months and what we're going to see in North Dakota high school hockey. First of all, we're going to see a hybrid schedule from what you've seen online leading up to this year. Every game East versus West in boys hockey has been canceled. Minot High lost a handful of really good games. They had Davies scheduled. They had Red River scheduled. They had Grafton scheduled. They had Devil's Lake scheduled. They lost those games due to the COVID restrictions here in 2020. What that means for Minot High, hopefully, we should get Mitch Lundy on the show and talk about if they're going to add more games of Minot versus Century and Minot versus High, Minot versus Mandan, Minot versus Jamestown and Dickinson, and Williston, Botno, and Hazen. I bring all those teams up because in the past it's been Minot High, Century, and High. All three of those teams are guaranteed shoe-in for the state tournament, or so it would seem. You go back a few years, and it was Dickinson that knocked Minot out of the chance to go to the state high school hockey tournament. Only one of the few times in the history that that's ever happened. Here in 20 and 21, you're going to see a wild, wild west in my mind. Minot is the favorite to win it. They've got a handful of players back and some absolute studs that come back into this lineup, including their all-state goaltender Trey Sortland, who was phenomenal last year. Sortland with a .266 goals against average, pushing an 89% save percentage as a junior. He went 16-7-1. Minot High didn't lose much off of their team last year. They lost their leading scorer, Nick Murphy, who had 31 points. But here's the names that they return. Luck, Morelli, Opperud, Deal, Thongfet, Bonebreak, Hauser, Tice, Field, Thongfet, Schuster. I could go down the list. There's some studs coming back for Minot High hockey. Not to mention, the Bantam A program was solid again last year. That's a whole other topic of conversation. They lose some guys, and if they would have had those guys, we might as well just have played the Toros every night, because there are some solid studs there. We don't get those guys this year, but Minot High is still going to be the team to beat in my mind. Century's going to be good as well. Century brings back a handful of players off of a team that last year they went 17-8 overall on the year, 12-2 inside the WDA. They bring back Schulte. Who else do they bring back? Samarzik. They bring back Reimer. They bring back Schoenberg, Colin Curl, Dawson Shirley. They bring back Crew Walker, just signed to play baseball at the University of Mary. In nets, they're going to lose Wyatt Stavon, but they'll bring back Ubel and Jangula and maybe somebody else coming through the program, a youngster. We'll wait and see what happens with Century. When you look at Bismarck High, how will the Demons be? Well, the Demons last year, they didn't turn it on until the very end of the season. They went 6-7-0 in the West, a 9-16 overall. They ended up as the number 2 seed heading into the state tournament, and I didn't even think they were going to make the state tournament. They had a span there where they lost on the 20th of January all the way down to the 14th of February. They didn't win a game. And they got pounded by Jamestown, Century, Davies, Dickinson. Minot beat them 4-1. Mandan beat them 4-1. South Shanley beat them 6-1 in that time. And then all of a sudden, Wes Carr, in his first year as the head coach of the Demons, flipped a switch and said, forget this. We're going to start winning some hockey games. And they did. However, the Demons this year are going to be without Joey Heinert and his 42 points he had last year. They're going to be without Farnsworth, who had 21 points last year. They do bring back Hunter Aker, the sophomore that had 19 last year, Jack Steckler, Nick Mortensen, Remington Richardson. They're going to bring back some guys that were pretty solid. However, they lose their goaltending staff and their main stud of Quinn Ackerman. So, how will the Demons be? We'll find out. They're not my favorite to win the West this year, but they're always a hard-hitting hockey team and a hard-working team without a doubt. You look at Mandan. They finished 4th last year inside the WDA, and Mandan brings back Drew Condon, 23 points there. They lost a handful of seniors. It was kind of break or bust year for Mandan last year. Zane Fay, who was 6th in scoring for him with 13 points, is the next in line for points that return after Drew Condon's 23. However, Mandan's ace in the hole is that they bring back Zane Clausen, who had an 89% save percentage and a .333 goals against average at the end of the year last year. So there you look at the top 4. Now we turn our attention to Jamestown, and this is the team that last year took it to Minot High at the state high school hockey tournament in a matchup for 5th place. And this is a Blue Jay team that's led by Matt Stockert. He's been there for 15 years, 16 now, and they've got some studs. Nolan Niedow, the freshman, had 54 points last year. We need to double-check this and make sure Niedow's still in Jamestown. I believe he is. Jace Thompson, the junior, had 49 points. Hunter Nelson, the sophomore, had 47. Tommy Falk graduated, and so did Corey Nelson. But they bring back Jacoby Knoll, the D-man, that had 15. They also bring back Joe Cummings, Gavin Hott. They bring back a ton of guys. Jamestown's going to be young. They're experienced, however, and they're good. The big question mark here, they lost Riley Gerhardt, their senior goaltender and the stud, 90% save percentage and a .388 goals against average last year. They ended the season by knocking off Bismarck High and Minot at the state high school hockey tournament. They lost to Red River in the opening round of the tournament, 8-2, by the way. But I think that this Jamestown team is going to really draw some waves inside of West Region hockey this year. They might be the team to beat, frankly. Who knows? They're going to be good. Let's look at Dickinson real quick before we put a cap on our show today and get geared up for college hockey here tonight. Dickinson, they're well coached. This is a program that continues to grow. Dallas Kuntz now in his 8th year. They lost Pavic and Hauglid at the top of the list, but they bring back Gavin Grohl, 25 points for him. Landon Ahmed had 19. They lose Peyton Hansen, so they're going to lose some guys, but there's some players that can get the job done. I think last year was probably their year, maybe, but they do bring back Concha, the freshman goaltender that played in 17 games last year, and he had a .437 goals against and an 85. He brings those numbers up by a few points on each side, and this is going to be a Dickinson team that's going to be right there at the WDA tournament trying to stamp their ticket to state. They lost to Jamestown in that qualifier 7-3. The X-Factor team in the WDA, without a doubt, is going to be Botno Rugby. And the last team we'll talk about today before we end our show here on a Friday morning. Time for more coffee. I got to hit the showers and get ready to get the game notes finalized here on the PSP Network for the broadcast tonight. But Botno Rugby, under Jesse Nostal in his first year as the head coach of the Botno Braves. By the way, when you lose David Hoff as the head coach, who was there for 30-plus years, gold medalist with USA's sled hockey team. I mean, Dave Hoff's a legend. That guy's awesome. You know who else is a legend? Ian Amsbaugh. In his junior year, he scored 65 points. Landon Rosendahl had 32, and Matt Olson had 27. They've got a kid by the name of Rybczynski. Yes, that's the coaches of the Lumberjacks, the head coach of the Lumberjacks, his son. He only had 12. Then it falls off a table. Bieberdorf had 6 points, 6 for Hagelin. So you have your top 3, led by Amsbaugh, who's another Harrison aide. I mean, this guy he's good. The X factor for Botno, and I think the X factor for the entire West region, mark this down, is their goaltender Tyler Olson. in these years past, there's been teams that have been really good in Bottineau. And there's been teams that, in my mind, have been fantastic to watch and fun to watch. Downright scary to go up to Bottineau and play. When you got a kid like Noah Grant coming at you and you've got a kid like Harrison Aid coming at you, there's different times throughout history where Bottineau's just about impossible to beat on their home ice. And they'll beat you 7-6, by the way. Well, now they've got a goaltender entering his senior year, Tyler Olson, that had an 89% save percentage. He went 6-9-0 last year. 4 goals against average. He knocks those numbers down and shaves off a 1 goal per game down to 3 goals against average. Shaves that save percentage number up to about a 91%. And Bottineau might be heading back to the state high school hockey tournament in 2021. Mark my words. That's going to do it for our show today as we get geared up and ready for college hockey tonight. The Beavers back on home ice. They take on Jamestown tonight. Game time, 7 o'clock, 6:40 for the Planet Pizza pregame show. Holden Kurtz and I will have the call there. Join us for more ice time. The video edition's coming up in the future. We're going to keep working on building the studio office to make sure that we can deliver the video. Get all that stuff lined up for you so you've got the highlights of the faces. That include me taking a shower before we do the show today. Only joking. Thanks to Wade Regier for stopping by. Thanks to all the sponsors, and thanks to you, the hockey fans, joining us for Ice Time here on the PSP Network.